Hi folks. Well, that cult group, led by the cult leader, Captain Kangaroo and Beauregard Watson, the Paulus, has been in the headlines. Yeah! That's where they are, kids. They've been in the headlines. What happened this past Saturday? Members of Sea Shepherd and their Zodiacs launched off the Steve Irwin a few miles off the Australian coast, helped three gentlemen from Australia illegally board a Japanese vessel, the Shonan Maru, 18 miles off the Australian coast. Once they deposited the three on the vessel in the middle of the night, the Zodiacs belonging to Sea Shepherd sped off into the darkness and just abandoned the three on the vessel. Those three are from an Australian organization called Forest Rescue. Forest Rescue? There's no forest 18 miles off the Australian coast on the high seas, I thought to myself. I also thought to myself about an article I read in the Dallas Morning News the very same day, and to me, it was related to this incident. Here's that article, kids. A British medical journal issued a report stating that 15% of the Australian population in New Zealand are potheads. They smoke marijuana, cannabis. That's right, 15%. So I thought to myself, were they part of this 15% thinking there's a forest 18 miles into the ocean? In comparison, the United States is at 7% of the population. I didn't think anyone had us beaten that category. But the people waltzing with Matilda down under, you got us beat nearly twice the amount. And I'm wondering, folks, and these three hapless individuals were used as pawns by Captain Kangaroo Sea Shepherd. The reason why Sea Shepherd planned this in advance to dump these three gentlemen on that vessel was because they wanted to get that vessel off the tail of the Steve Irwin from following it. Sea Shepherd is scared of that vessel, specifically Captain Kangaroo, because he does not want to be boarded and taken captive and brought back to Tokyo because there's an arrest warrant for him. So he thought by throwing these three hapless individuals, and I wonder if they had any of this with them, onto that vessel, it would detain the Shonan Maru because they would have to return them back to Australia or wait for an Australian vessel to come out or go back to Tokyo with them. Either way, he thought he was free of the Shonan Maru. But guess what, folks? There was the Japanese samurai aboard the vessel because they continued to pursue the Steve Irwin with those three illegal boarders on board. And it created an international incident between two good allies, Japan and Australia. These cowards, these girly men on their rust-bucket garbage scow, Sea Shepherd, created this incident between two good friends, two good nations. Well, the Japanese said to the Australian authorities, all right, we won't take them back to Tokyo. You can have them, but you're going to have to come get them. We're not going to be dead in the waters and let the Steve Irwin be successful in their subterfuge and get out of our sight. So the Australian government has a vessel, and I think it's called Ocean Protector, that's going to go out there and meet them. But the Japanese says we're going to do it, still keeping the Steve Irwin in our radar, meaning we're probably going to have to still be in motion. It's going to cost the Australian government a couple of $100,000 in extra fuel for this mission to take these three hapless pawns off that vessel. So the Australian authorities asked Sea Shepherd, do you not think perhaps you should help us pay some of the cost of this fuel? And the Captain Kangaroo says, nah. He said, forget about it. And he issues an open letter, and I'll have a link to it in the description, with 10 points as to why his organization should not be responsible for any of the costs. And when you read these 10 points, you're going to scratch your head and say, but wait a minute, none of this makes sense. And it doesn't. You wonder who wrote that for him. But the 10th point we know he wrote. The 10th point sums up what this is all about. Money. He says in his 10th point that had the Australian government given his organization tax-exempt status in Australia, he would have been able to raise more money. See? Money. And with that extra money, he possibly could have helped out with some of the cost of the fuel. But since we don't have tax-exempt status, since we don't have extra money, you're not getting any money out of us. See? I got the badge. So thinks the captain. So that's what this was all about. It was all about money. And it was all about getting the Shunamaru off his tail because he fears being arrested and taken back to Tokyo to stand trial. And now you poor suckers in Australia that support him, your government, your taxes are going to have to pay for this operation. But that's okay. According to the British Medical Journal, 15% of you are laid back. No problem. This is going to be an interesting whaling season because the Japanese samurai is on his back. All right, folks. We'll see you. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless the nation you happen to be. See ya.